Hello and welcome to the latest episode of the Online Warriors podcast. I am your faithful host, Illeagle 86, and I'm joined as always by Techtic and Nerdbomber on this Independence Day Eve for our listeners of the American proclivity. So
Eagles and such.
As you're listening to this, there eagles and stuff,
No,
maybe fireworks. If you have a dog, it's a terrible time for you. That's just, I mean, that's, to me, that's what 4th of July is now. It's like, during the day, I have a good time. And then at night, I'm like, all right, see ya. I have to go be with my dog because he's having Vietnam flashbacks. And I think most dog owners kind of have that experience, or like a large section of them, which, like, by the way, it's fine. I've seen enough fireworks.
Go to Nam, so he doesn't have those issues.
Now, let me ask this, because I went to the the store today.
Dick. Oh my god, sorry.
I just decided to breeze right past it. I went to the store today, and I live in a neck of the woods that you can just kind of buy sparklers. I think that's probably, and I think you can't do that in every state. But like, I was like, I'm just gonna buy some sparklers.
I don't think sparklers are illegal anywhere.
Now,
I thought it was just the big boomy ones.
I thought it's firework law is confusing. Let's not get into it. But I have a nephew who is almost 3. Okay, if I believe I have that right. He's almost 3. Is that too young to hand him a sparkler? Probably, right?
You got to do the old uncle thing where you hold it with one hand and he's holding it with another hand and you're doing it together so that you're in control ultimately, but he's still enjoying it.
Let me ask the question a different way. If I were to hand him a sparkler, what's the worst thing that could happen?
He could burn himself.
What's the worst thing that could happen with a spark? Well, but
in the eyes.
That's what I'm wondering. It is probably the eyes, because like if you were to just like, if I were to light a sparkler,
like hair,
and put it out on my own arm like a cigarette, it probably wouldn't.
And it wouldn't go out, and it would hurt you really badly.
But also think about
it would go
hair.
It would 100%
hair
go out.
starting on fire, clothing starting on fire. Now you've got burns that you can't really put out very easily. And a running little child who probably doesn't understand stop, drop, and roll just yet.
What I'm gleaming from this conversation is that not only should you not hand your nephew a sparkler, but no one should hand you a sparkler as well.
Let's see it, but now I'm just really like, I'm thinking if I was holding a sparkler and I
try to put it out on
shirt,
yourself, as you had just said you're going to.
The shirt wouldn't light on fire.
Just try to put it out on your arm.
The shirt would not light on fire. I'm not going to try to do that. I mean, I have an ounce of self-preservation left in my body, even at the ripe old age that I am. But like, I honestly think if I were to light a sparkler, hold it up to my shirt, I don't think the shirt would light on fire. I think if anything, the sparkler would just burn down, or it would go out. Like, maybe I don't understand sparklers. It's been a long time for me in sparklers, and this just turned into a fireworks safety podcast. Be careful out there. I've seen a lot of like, I've probably just the same single tweet that has been joked around for the past like 5 days of like, this is probably the last weekend where someone's going to have 10 fingers and they don't even know it. And like, yeah, that's a good joke, but like also it's true. So like, I don't have a lot of firework experience, so I'm probably not qualified, but like, don't be that way. Just be safe. Fireworks aren't that cool. Is that a hot take? Are fireworks cool? I don't think they're that great. I could do without
I like fireworks, don't get me wrong, but I don't like doing fireworks myself. Leave it to the professionals, in my opinion. And this is coming from a household where we do fireworks sometimes,
nice.
And I get stressed. Especially in the nicest way, like watching Techtic when he's lighting a firework and doesn't run away fast enough like that. Oof. Can't.
It's not like, listen, we're not setting off mortars here.
You have a couple times.
Well, not like the firework mortars. I'm talking real mortars. This is fine. You could just do a brisk walk away pace and you will be fine. The key is making sure that things are stable and you're not just like being careless. Just be smart.
But do you remember last 4th of July? And it was a fountain, so it's nothing that like launches into the air.
She's about to put you. Well, she's about to put you on.
And no one got hurt.
It's nothing that he did wrong, but the firework, which was supposed to be a fountain, gentle fountain, like coming maybe 2 feet off the ground, not really doing projectiles or anything like that, exploded.
And
it
was
like
awesome.
exploded.
And this is
Yeah.
the best part about fireworks. After it exploded,
See, but is it awesome?
well, hang
is it
on.
awesome?
Our
that's
nephew was there, and it's the childlike innocence and seeing their joy and excitement. He still talks about that exploding firework. It was the coolest thing he's ever seen ever, and that's why we like them. Is because it's for the kids.
But in the like 30 seconds before we knew
Municipalities.
everybody was safe, it was terrifying.
Not for the kid. He was like,
Leave it to the
No, he was scared.
nah.
leave it to the municipalities. And yeah, like this is coming from someone who, even when I was a kid, I was like a little afraid of fireworks because I was, that kind of kid. Like, I just, yeah, I think I could do without them entirely. But also, like, if we're gonna have fireworks in society, which I imagine we are, just leave it to the towns and townships and villages, and
I kind of
let them do it.
because the shows are also significantly better than any private show in anyone's backyard.
Yeah, and then it's a communal experience, which I think can be very enjoyable, and maybe even more enjoyable than just like putting out a lawn chair on your driveway and watching, Gary from 3
Light
doors
your
down
roof on fire.
fumble through. Right. Like I don't think there's a whole lot of merit to that. So I guess, if you're gonna do that, if you're listening to this and you're gonna do that, we love having you here. But maybe give it some critical thought. I don't know. Like at this point, it's probably too late for you to not do it. But next year, consider taking a break and reevaluating your decision to do it. Because also, this is to say nothing of how expensive it is. Fireworks are expensive. You don't need that. Have the town do it, and then go to Cabo or something. I don't know. You can decide where to go. We have a couple of we have 3 topics today, as we always do. We got a couple of box topics and a couple of red topics. And you guessed it, one of those topics is Redbox. The other 2 topics are other things. I'm going to start with the one that I think is going to be the quickest, just because that's kind of the mood that I'm in. I'm going to start with a movie called Red One, which we got a trailer for, I don't know, like a few days ago. This is a movie. J.K. Simmons is Santa Claus. Dwayne Johnson is, I don't know, a guy. I don't even know if they say
Head
his name
elf
in the
is my
trailer.
vibe. I'm
Chris
thinking
Evans,
Bernard vibes.
Chris Evans is, and I'm quoting now from the Google summary of the movie, the world's most accomplished tracker. Here's the gist, guys. J.K. Simmons is Santa Claus, and he has been kidnapped by an unknown entity. And Dwayne Johnson, I think in large part because he is Dwayne Johnson, has been tasked with getting him back. And as a result, he goes and gets Chris Evans. Also, I am looking now. Dwayne Johnson is an elf, but in this universe, elf stands for extremely large and formidable.
That's actually kind of funny.
It's going to take a beat to let that sink in. It comes out November 15th of this year. I also want to highlight this. The budget was $250 million.
Is that high? I know you're more of a budget guy. Like you kind of.
It's extremely high. There's
a lot of like
it's extremely
CGI.
high.
Like there's a whole CGI polar bear dude thing happening in this, and there's obviously a lot of like action sequences.
And Krampus.
Yeah.
There's a whole Krampus thing in the trailer where Dwayne Johnson and Krampus have a slap contest. Like you see the slap contests on like ESPN the Ocho.
I think this budget makes sense
because of all the North Pole sets.
Because I think they're trying to fill a void that the Santa Claus with Tim Allen. Because we can all kind of, that's our generation thing. They're trying to set up for the new generation. That's why they're building out this world. We saw Krampus.
But this is very clearly like an adult movie, right?
No, this is for the kids.
You think?
That's the okay. You guys are getting to my point, and you did it so beautifully. And I'm going to tell you right now, that was not scripted. I watched this trailer and I was like, I don't know who this is for. And clearly you guys don't know who it's for either. Because I think the movie is posturing. I'm inclined to agree with you, Nerdbomber. I think this movie is posturing as though it is an adult movie. The world's most accomplished tracker. Is a kid even going to understand that?
Yeah, but
like,
kids are going to laugh at slap fights.
Yeah, but like I think there's going to be levels of violence here that I don't think parents will want to take their kids to see for Christmas.
But it's too campy to be for adults.
I think, though, they're going to
Let me
lean
also
into
lay
that. I
out-
think it's going to be the campy adult action Christmas movie. Because think about what we've gotten in the last couple years. We've gotten, what is the one with the
Violent Night.
Violent Night, but then also wasn't Silent Night the other one with help me with his
Correct.
name. The guy from Stranger Things.
I can't think of his name either. Joel Kinnaman? No. Stranger Things was Violent Night.
Okay, but then Joel Kinnaman was
which was
Silent
the one where
Night.
Santa's in the house. Was
Yes.
Silent Night. Yes. So yeah, so here's the thing. Okay. Techtic, you cited the Santa Claus, I think, twice already. The Santa Claus is one of my favorite Christmas movies. It's fantastic. I love it to death. You get that movie's name out of your mouth when you're talking about this movie, because
I didn't say they're meeting
okay.
it. I said they're trying to meet it.
Exhibit A for why these movies could not be more different. The Santa Claus in the movie The Santa Claus is hyper traditional. You look at Tim Allen's Santa Claus, who does he look like? Santa Claus. You look at J.K. Simmons' Santa Claus. I'm sorry, that is not Santa Claus. You've already lost me. You've lost me immediately. Santa Claus is not buff. That's a joke. That is a joke, and it's campy. You're right, it's campy. This is a campy adult movie.
I'm going to come in hot here. IMDb, I fact checked this. It's going to be rated PG-13.
Oof. So this
Correct.
is for the young adults.
PG-13. This is again. This is my point. Who is this for? I don't get it, and I don't like it. If you couldn't tell, so listeners, I picked this topic specifically because I don't like.
This is for the 10 to 12-year-olds on Christmas time, and your parents are like, "Hey, do you want to see your first PG-13 movie?" And the kids are like, "Okay, yeah, we'll sit down and shut up. We want to see a PG-13 movie." This is the one you hype up to get the kids to sit down and shut up. This is it.
All right, so
that's a decent
other
argument.
Fun facts about this movie, according to IMDb. So apparently, The Rock was the reason why the budget ballooned so big, because he was frequently tardy and arriving as late as 8 hours and missing entire days of shooting. This was originally a Prime Video original, but then got transitioned to theatrical release, probably because they needed to recoup some of those, big budget losses. And also, because of The Rock's tardiness and lateness and all that kind of stuff, it took 2 years to release this movie because I think they wrapped filming in early 2023 and we're going to see this late 2024.
So it sounds like he's a real asshole in real life.
It sounds like The Rock sandbagged
There's been a lot
movie.
happening. Yeah, there's been a lot happening with The Rock lately that we won't get into, but yeah, he's in a bit of a PR firestorm right now. I just this does scream like Nerdbomber, you saying like this was originally a Prime Video straight to streaming. I think that was the best chance it had for being watched. Who's going to the theater to see this movie? Like you said, Techtic, like it's one thing to be like, all right, kids, you're 12 now. I can show you a PG-13 movie, but I don't think you're going to take the kid to the theater to do that. I think this is going to bomb. And I think it's unfortunate because I think J.K. Simmons is great. I really want Chris Evans to succeed outside of Marvel, and so far I feel like it's not going great, and this is not gonna help. Dwayne Johnson, I don't care. But yeah, I don't think this looks very good. So I want to try and put into perspective the budget for this movie. Do you know what the Endgame budget was? That's one data point. I'm looking up others.
Endgame was probably like 400 million.
356. Granted, Pirates of the Caribbean, the first one, came out a long time ago, but it was $100 million less than this movie.
Jeez.
Yeah, this thing is not going to make its money back at all.
It's bloated. It's so bloated, and like you said, it's probably because The Rock was doing The Rock stuff. But I'm sorry, that just means the movie's not going to succeed. I don't know how you come back from this. So, Red One comes out November 15th, 2024. Pile the kids in the car and go see something else because it's PG-13. But if you have a kid who's 11 and you're like, hey, this is the ticket for you, then I don't know, maybe go see it and write into us and let us know how it is. Let's talk about movies more. because I'm kind of feeling juiced after that. Let's talk about Redbox a little bit. Now, first of all, here's a fun fact about Redbox. You know the company that owns Redbox? I learned this like 2 days ago, by the way. I shouldn't act like I just had this knowledge before. Chicken Soup for the Soul Entertainment.
Shut the fuck up.
Which, first of all, that is a company.
I knew they were still around.
Remember those books?
The books are actually, I believe, still being made. I just don't think anybody cares.
Yeah. Those books that were immensely popular in like the 90s. I guess that created an entertainment conglomerate that has bought a bunch of companies, one of them being Redbox. Chicken Soup for the Soul Entertainment is reportedly $970 million in debt. I don't know how you get much more in debt than that. They very recently bought Redbox. I believe they bought it like a year ago. I don't have the exact date in front of me. I kind of wanted to, I mean, assuming that this may spell the death of Redbox, which is not a given, Techtic has brought to my attention that they filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy, which could mean many different things. Doesn't necessarily mean they're just dead and gone.
Yeah, so Chapter 7
it doesn't mean good
is
things.
the bankruptcy that most people are familiar with. That's where they kind of like sell off all their assets to try to pay off as much debt as possible, and then the company is dissolved to nothingness. This is Chapter 11 bankruptcy, which is known as a reorganization bankruptcy, which allows the company to pause debt payments while it reorganizes its businesses, debts, and assets to try to kind of right the ship and develop a plan to pay back all of its, deficits.
They've got hundreds of accountants in a warehouse right now cooking the crap out of these books. So they acquired Redbox in 2022 for $375 million. Now, I kind of put this topic on the table because I want to talk about all of our collective experiences with Redbox. And like, let me be clear. I'm not about to crap on Redbox. I like Redbox a lot, actually. I haven't used it in a while, but there was a stretch, in particular when I was in graduate school, where like Redbox was kind of great. And like, there was definitely a point where it was a thing and it was happening, and I used it for a good amount of things. Like I would regularly rent movies. I would even occasionally buy a video game because they sell off their video games to put new ones in. That's a kind of a inside baseball thing. But I don't think in 2022 I was using it. I think by then it was kind of over, like societally. But I want to get your guys' take in terms of like, have you ever used it? Because like, I think the model of like, you're walking out of the grocery store and it's right there, I think that's a pretty good model. And like, I think for a little bit, it probably worked.
The right model is you're walking out of a 7-Eleven. It has to be a 7-Eleven. It's really painting the picture. You're walking out of the 7-Eleven, you got your Slurpee, you're trying to figure out what you're doing for the evening. You don't have a car yet. You're just kind of working your job or whatever. But hey, you can get a video after you get your Slurpee, and you can watch a movie with the friends.
Well, I think...
Right, and it costs like $2 or something. Like it was... it's like a microtransaction.
It had its place in society, and it had its heyday back in like the early aughts and even like the 2010s. Because I don't remember when.
Whoa! It has not been around for that long. I'm gonna.
It was around. I think in the 2000s. I think in like
2008
it came around, which to me that's like early aughts. It definitely.
Redbox first hit the scene. Let me see. Wow, 2004.
Yeah.
You got me.
I think it had its place then.
2004.
Because that was before streaming video.
I was using it a lot later.
Oh no,
I was using it a lot later than that.
So this is probably going to date me a little bit, but like I was using it in like middle school and high school because, me and my friends would walk over to either, like Techtic said, not necessarily the 7-Eleven, but the like corner store or the grocery store by my friend's house, pick up some, soda pops and some snacks and a movie for $2, and it was great. But when streaming became bigger, like at the time, Netflix wasn't a big thing that everybody had in their house. So you were either going to Blockbuster or Family Video or something like that, or you're renting through like pay-per-view. And all of those options were fairly expensive. So Redbox kind of undercut the market at the time. But I think now in the age of everything is available on streaming, even if you want to rent a movie, you can do it fairly cheap on most streaming services. I think it's just a sign of, forward progression in technology. Are people even using DVDs anymore? I'm not really sure. Like, I think DVDs in general, unless you're an avid collector of DVDs, like a lot of the generic people, I don't mean to call those people generic, but generic people are just streaming stuff.
So let me read a little excerpt because I was just doing some research here. The number of items rented from kiosks annually peaked in 2013 with 772.87 million rentals, which first of all is like a huge amount. Then there were 717.1 million in 2014 and 587.55 million in 2015. So it basically started to steadily decrease after that. And, Wikipedia cites, as you did, like streaming kind of becoming a thing. Now, for me, and it says here that kind of as a data point, as of July 2016, Redbox offered Xbox One and PlayStation 4 games. Like, I think for me, it was like 2016, 2017, maybe even a little bit into 2018. That was when I was like, there's like a stretch of 3 years where I was using it a lot. I don't remember it having been around for so long before that, but I do think it had a place, especially like after Blockbuster went away. This was kind of like it kind of inherited that in the hearts and minds of people a little bit of like, I just want to like rent a movie and like it, in some sense experiencing the joy of picking something out and being handed a disc. Like, you don't like streaming. I'm going to talk in my What Are You Up To Wednesday about, we just rented something on streaming and like it cost I think $5. Like, Redbox was less expensive than I think most rentals now. Like, I'm pretty sure the movie I rented, you'd be able to rent on Redbox for like $2. And in fact, I should have probably checked, but I didn't. Because they may not have even made a Blu-ray of this movie. Like, it is kind of the media companies and the rise of streaming that did kill it. Going back to like Chicken Soup for the Soul, why are you buying Redbox in 2022?
I think what happened...
Like, what...
So I do, because I went down a rabbit hole like a couple years ago when I originally saw the news of this happen, but Chicken Soup for the Soul actually was making their own movies, and I think they were trying to turn all of the stories in their books into movies and like pivot that way. And so I think they thought that Redbox would be like their distribution service or something. I'm not really sure, but it obviously didn't work.
Yeah, and Redbox... I'm still just on Wikipedia for Redbox. Like, I think I've tried Redbox On Demand, Redbox Instant, Redbox Free Live TV, Redbox Plus, like, for whatever reason, and there's probably a whole podcast's worth of why, like, they just have not been able to get any sort of streaming footprint, which, yeah, I kind of wonder about that. And Redbox, too, has kind of, yeah, they have produced some movies, so... like you said, that may be why Chicken Soup for the Soul wanted to get in on that. And they probably got it for a song, but like it doesn't matter a whole lot because now it's basically, I would say it's probably on its way out. Very interesting stuff. I kind of wanted to bring this up because Redbox, I had my share of memories with it. It sounds like you did too, Nerdbomber. And if you want to experience it, go check it out. And also, if they like wind up liquidating, they're probably going to be selling games on the cheap. That's, again, just kind of a little tip. They probably have PS5 games. I don't actually know. I haven't done it in a long time, but I know they had PS4 games, and I got Uncharted 4, which I love Uncharted. I got Uncharted 4 for like $10 or something at one point because they were just like, oh, we need to get it out of our box, and the easiest way to do that is apparently to have some chump like me come up and buy it. So... Anyways, we're going to take a short break now before coming back to talk a little bit about Xbox on Fire Stick. That's a little tease. But before we do that, I would be remiss if I did not say Happy 4th of July to our fantastic Patreon producer, Mr. Steven Keller. Steven's been supporting us on the show now for quite a while. He has supported us at the night level on our Patreon, which is the highest of our 3 levels. That gets him this producer shout out every episode. Of course, access to the monthly secret segment and vlog. And, of course, input into the weekly game segment, as well as the occasional guest spot on the show. There is also a Squire level of support, which is a little bit lower than the night level, gets you access to the monthly secret segment and the vlog, and a page level, which gets you access to the monthly secret segment. So you can head over to patreon.com, check out all the details on all of those levels, say hi to Steven, say hi to us, and consider giving back to the show. You can also hit us up on Twitter. I should mention that. @OW Illeagle86, @OW Techtic, @OW Nerdbomber. and our main show account at Online Warriors 1 if you have any questions about the Patreon or any questions or comments about anything you've heard on this show or any of the previous episodes of the show. We're happy to have a conversation with you over there. We'll be right back to talk about Xbox on Fire Stick TV. Thanks again to Steven.
Hi, I'm Kevin DeCristofano.
And I'm Sean Flanagan.
And we are the Ninja Turtle Nerds, your weekly podcast covering the Ninja Turtle comic book series one issue at a time. Plus the video games, the cartoon show, the VHS tapes. If it's Ninja Turtles, we'll cover it. Ninja Turtle Nerds is available wherever you get your podcasts.
All right, we are back to talk about Xbox gaming on the Amazon Fire Stick. That's right. I think just like 2 or 3 weeks ago, I was talking about how I'm fed up with Amazon Fire Sticks, and they were like, "We heard you," and so they decided they're going to put Xbox Game Pass active. Well, no, Xbox Game Pass access. Wow, that was a lot of words. On the Fire Stick. So basically, here's the gist. In over 25 countries, as of July, they didn't give a specific date. I don't know if anyone else here has that, but they said as of July, the Xbox app will be available on the Fire TV Stick 4K Max and the Fire TV Stick 4K. So the latter of those is $50. The former is $60 for those keeping track at home. Basically, you just need a Fire TV Stick, a Bluetooth-enabled wireless controller, which could also include, I double-checked, well, it says this in here, obviously the Xbox controller will work. The PlayStation controllers also work. So you need a controller, you need the Fire Stick, and you need Xbox Game Pass Ultimate, which I looked before this episode. I don't remember how much it costs. I think it's like $17 a month or something, but your first month is like $1. And you can look at the list of games, see what that's all about. Now, obviously, this operates using Xbox Cloud Gaming. So to me, the operative question is, how good is your internet connection? And Nerdbomber, I'm going to turn it over to you because I know you have some experience with cloud gaming. I'm like, this is something that next time we need to replace a Fire Stick, it's not out of the question that I get one of the $50 ones just so I can take this for a spin, if only for a month, to see what it's like. So I would implore you, sell me on this.
So
is this something I should be doing?
I think you should, in my opinion. So I've used Game Pass cloud gaming on my Steam Deck pretty extensively at this point because, I mean, that's how you access Xbox games on your Steam Deck. It's worked fairly well. I mean, obviously, there are moments when a ton of people are logging in all at the same time, and I'm assuming before they open it up to, the Fire Stick, they'll solve this issue or at least give more computing or server space to cloud gaming. In those instances, sometimes it can take like 2 minutes before you get in your game, which you just watch a loading screen for 2 minutes and then your game is ready to play. But I mean, I have had no issues. There are a couple times when, like in fast-paced first-person shooters, every now and then you'll notice a little stutter here and there. But honestly, I have had no issues with it. I can't say that I've been booted off the service. I can't really say that I've experienced a lot of lag. I have even played online multiplayer. Like I've played Halo, the Master Chief Collection multiplayer using cloud gaming, and I didn't die more than I killed people. So I'm assuming like the lag wasn't that bad. I probably wasn't playing at as high of a fidelity as if I was on my console, but like it still worked pretty well. So I had no issues using the service, and I'm certain that they're probably going to commit more infrastructure to it if they're going to have more people allegedly using it.
Can I sell this to him with less words?
Well, no, I'm just talking about the viability because I know that's a big concern of it. So as long as you have decent internet, you have good viability. But go on.
Gears of War E-Day. Gears of War.
Well, I don't think that's even what would sell it to him. So the other perk here is, like you said, I don't know how much Game Pass costs because I've had it stacked for years and I don't know how much it costs if you actually buy it.
It's $1. Yeah, it's $1 for the first month and then $17 a month thereafter for Ultimate, which it sounds like is what you would need to have the class.
But you can find like 3-month passes online on like CD Keys, or sometimes even like Target or Best Buy will have them for sale. You can get like 3 months usually for like $25, which isn't too bad. And so now I implore you right now, you're watching the Indiana Jones trailer and you're like, you know what? That looks better than I thought it was going to look, but damn, it is an Xbox exclusive. Well, it's going to be on Game Pass day one. And now for less than the full price of the game, you can sign up for a Game Pass trial. You can buy 3 months of Game Pass and you can play it, maybe not in, 4K graphics or, 60 FPS like you would if you had the full like Xbox Series X, but like you wouldn't be able to play the game otherwise. So does that open options for you?
Yeah, no, I mean, sorry, and I should clarify. Your first 14 days are $1 and then it's $17.
That's long enough to beat a story.
So it's it's like a gym membership, right? It's the same concept. We've talked about this so many times. It's like, is $17 a month going to be worth it for me in this particular instance, but for anyone who wants to get it, is it going to be worth it for them? Are you going to be playing $17 worth of any number of games in that?
But if we're going to call it, it's like a gym membership. You need to correct yourself. It's really like a movie pass membership, because we're not going to the gym, but boy, are we watching movies and boy, are we playing video games.
Well, I think too, with the gym membership, they make it difficult to cancel. And with Game Pass, it's very easy to cancel. And additionally, like if you think about it, and this is not me shilling for Game Pass, but 1 month of Game Pass at $17, say you play the brand new Indiana Jones game when it comes out day one, you would pay $60 for that. So
right. You can let it sit for 2 months and do nothing and still come out ahead.
Specifically, you could do even better because you're not shilling out the Indiana Jones game cost and the cost of a console.
And additionally, too, like...
Well, yeah, that's
one of the ways that Game Pass shines, in my opinion. Like there are AAA games, and like Xbox games will be coming to a day one. But I feel like where it shines a lot is there are a lot of indie games out there that you buy a lot on your Switch. But for me, I don't buy them anywhere because they're on Game Pass, which I don't know how that fares for indie developers and their pocketbooks. But for me, there's a lot of games that I will pick up and try. That's an indie game that I wouldn't necessarily spend $10, $15 on any other console.
Yeah, I mean, there's no doubt that it's never been more attractive. They're doing everything right, being explicit and saying, like, go ahead and use your PlayStation DualSense. Like, I love that. So yeah, this is something that I'm definitely heavily considering trying. I would probably time it for when Indiana Jones comes out, which I don't know when that is off the top of my head, but... I would also probably not get it right away in July. Like, for all I know, when this episode comes out, it'll be live and people will be using it. I'd want to make sure they have all the wrinkles ironed out first. But it's no doubt a very cool thing. I don't think we need to belabor the point. It's a potentially very big step, and just kind of the latest thing that Microsoft is doing to basically be like, hey, everyone should have Game Pass. So, like, it's very in keeping with their business strategy, and it's a very sensible step to me. So, yeah, if you have a Fire Stick, if you have one of the ones that I mentioned, and specifically one that came out in 2023, it looks like, or onward, then you're good to go. Let's move on to What Are You Up To Wednesday. This is the part of the show where we talk about what we've been up to. I'm going to go first because I think mine's going to be pretty brief. I have finished the book I talked about last week, which is it was a Stephen King collection of short stories. It was very good. It was classic Stephen King. No need to belabor the point. You know what you're getting if you're reading Stephen King at this point. And I have picked up a different book entirely. I have gone back to science fiction, and I have picked up Caliban's War, which is the second book in the Expanse series. Avid listeners of the show may remember that I read the first book in that series, Leviathan Wakes. It would have been, I think, last March or April. So it's been a long time away from the series for me, but it is really fantastic. I started reading it yesterday and I read like 150 pages in one day, just kind of sitting there burning through it because the world is so rich. They do a fantastic job. I looked up a Wikipedia summary of the first book before getting into the second, but it turns out that I didn't really need to. They do a good job refreshing your memory about things that happened. And I say they because the author of the book is actually, I think, the pen name for two distinct authors. But it's really fantastic so far. It's a very long book. I think it's like 600 pages, but I'm probably going to burn through it pretty quick, especially with summer reading being the name of the game right now. So I've been enjoying that. And then the other thing that I wanted to mention is I watched a movie called Late Night with the Devil. This is a movie I rented for $5. It, I believe, went straight to streaming, or it may have been in theaters for a very brief amount of time around Halloween time, because it is a scary movie. It's a scary indie movie. I think the budget was very low. It was a tight hour and a half, which I love. And the movie was basically about an exorcism that takes place on a late night talk show on live television. Very creatively filmed, almost found footage, kind of. Basically the master tape from the taping of the show, including backstage footage, and a lot of no-name actors, which I think in the context of horror is often kind of nice. So would recommend checking that out. It was definitely one of the better indie horror movies I've seen just ever, let alone in the past few years. With all that in mind, I will turn things over to Nerdbomber to keep us spinning here.
All right, so some quick things that I've done. I finished Little Kitty Big City. That game is incredible. You should play it. Very relaxing. Kind of the similar, story and stuff to Stray, but more chill and pleasant and low risk. I also started picking up NHL 24. If any of you are familiar, the NHL draft just happened, so it kind of got me in a hockey mood. NHL free agency is this week, etc., etc. So I picked it up and I started playing Hockey Ultimate Team. And I just remember the last time I played Hockey Ultimate Team was probably in 2012, maybe, because I just used to hate that mode because the cards and the players that you would get had contracts, because you open packs of cards to get players, but then they would only be used for 5 to 10 games. They got rid of that, so now I don't understand why it's difficult, because now you're just opening cards and there's no strategy behind it. You're just playing your best cards, but hey, I'm having fun with it because NHL. Other than that, I think we started watching The Bear, but I can let Techtic talk about that because he's had some feelings and thoughts.
Well, I guess I have to talk about The Bear.
Sorry.
Yeah,
this is season 3 of The Bear.
Yeah, so season 3 of The Bear, the first episode is basically background music, and you could just watch it not in the background because nothing happens. It is literally just music, and it's supposed to set the scene for all the stuff going on in Carmi's head. But it's just it could have been done better. And then the second episode is a little bit better. There's a little bit more dialogue, but still kind of a whole lot of nothing. I'm hoping that eventually it gets good because I'm hearing great reviews, but holy cow, is this slow to get off the ground.
Especially considering the first 2 seasons were fantastic.
Yeah, so I'm struggling with that one, but I'm confident they'll right the ship. The other thing that I wanted to talk about is I started playing Tears of the Kingdom. I know it's been a long time coming, but it was a good time to pick it up, and I picked it up, and I gotta say, it plays just like Breath of the Wild. They took a very much if it ain't broke, don't fix it, with some added mechanisms, and we've all seen videos of the various things that you can stick together and contraptions you can make. I'm not at the point where I could start making crazy things, but it's starting to develop, and I'm very excited for the future crafting that it has for me.
Oh, and we also watched Fleabag. I think if you're not into raunchy things, probably skip that one, but I thought it was fairly good. It was a lot deeper and dark humor, and it's very British dark humor centralized. I don't want to give anything away because I feel like the more you watch it, things start to become uncovered and you get a deeper insight into what's going on with these characters, but I thought it was pretty good.
My wife and I tried Fleabag, and I think we only watched one episode, and we found it, in particular, we found the dryness of the British humor combined with the raunchiness pretty unbearable. So yeah, that's definitely a good disclosure for that show, is that we kind of just realized, okay, this is not for us immediately.
Well, I will say too, it evolves. I think the first 1 or 2, maybe even 2.5 episodes are kind of like that, but then you understand why the character is the way that she is, and I would say the second season is really where it hits its stride.
Yeah, it's certainly not as deep as other shows that you were interested in. I Think You Should Leave, but it's good.
Ooh. Yeah, no, I Think You Should Leave it's certainly quite different based on my memory of Fleabag. And yeah, The Bear, I've actually heard season 3 people aren't liking as much, but that's super anecdotal because I haven't watched any of that show. My wife and I may pick that one up relatively soon, but it's not currently clear. That brings us to Quiztown. And this week, I am the mayor of Quiztown, so I will be hosting a quiz about the Florida Panthers, the latest Stanley Cup champion. Before I do that, though, Nerdbomber 9-5, myself 9-5, Techtic 5-12.
Yeah, but it's opposite day.
Not today. It's not. Steven 1-1. I guess it wouldn't matter for him whether it's opposite day or not. So I will be hosting, as I said, a quiz about the Florida Panthers. These are all Price is Right style questions, all numerical. Each player gets a +1 or an answer of 1 that they can use once per game. Nerdbomber, since you are the better record by a large margin, you will go first. And I have 5 questions and a tiebreaker in front of me. Let's get quizzing. When did the Florida Panthers play their first NHL season? In what year?
1995.
So, fun fact about Nerdbomber, she is a giant hockey fan. Fun fact about me, I didn't know hockey was a thing that people played until like 2012.
Listen, this just means in our world of quizzes, it means you're poised to succeed.
So, whatever she just said, +1 year.
Not a great start. So
We both bust.
they played their first season. You both busted. They were an expansion team. Their first season was the 1993-1994 season.
So I was so close.
You're close, but
Damn it.
you missed it just a little bit. So no points in that first
I
question.
honestly thought they were a later team.
How many division championships have they won during their tenure from 93 to now in the league? How many division championships?
That includes the one that just happened?
It does, yes.
4.
And Nerdbomber.
1.
You used your 1. It did not work. 4 was correct.
Oh, so I
actually.
had no hope there.
You had no hope. They won in 2011, 2012, 2015, 2016, 2021, 22, and 2023, 24. So, particularly successful as of late. And this isn't a question, but in 2021, they won the President's
I don't
Trophy.
think that counts as her
So
one.
they were particularly good
if
that
I'm
year.
being honest. Considering my number, that's more just like a little bit lower than mine.
If you want to let her keep her 1, that is your prerogative.
Because the one is like 0 AD when the answer is like, when did Celine Dion perform? That's when the one.
Yeah,
is.
I'm certainly.
Fair is
I'm
fair,
certainly not
though.
gonna
The
argue
rule
with
is
you.
the rule. I use my 1. It's fine.
Let's say this. Let's see if it winds up being consequential. How about that? So they play at Amaranth Bank Arena in Florida, obviously. What is that arena's total capacity? Specifically for hockey games, because I guess for different events it has different capacities. I don't fully understand that, but for hockey games, what is its total capacity?
16,800.
25,000.
Nerdbomber is on the board. 19,250 was the answer we were looking for. So you were both right in the ballpark, but Nerdbomber was closer without busting. The original owner of the franchise, kind of in a tie back to our Redbox topic earlier, the original owner of the franchise before he sold it in 2001
Did he own Chicken Soup
was,
for
I'm
the
gonna
Soul?
try to pronounce this name, Wayne Huizenga. He was a co-owner of Blockbuster Video.
Oh, darn.
At its peak in 2004, how many Blockbuster stores existed?
25,000 stores.
I'm going to lowball it and say 200, assuming like 4 in every state.
9,994. Sorry, 9,094 was the answer. So Nerdbomber takes it and moves to 2 correct answers to Techtic's 1. I don't have any further detail on that. It's just the answer was 9,000. So we move into the last question. Techtic, you need to get this to force the tie and the text in tiebreaker. You do have last ups, but you have already used your +1. So I don't know, plan accordingly. How many former Panther players have been inducted into the Hockey Hall of Fame?
10.
So this is kind of an interesting phrasing because you said former. So it doesn't necessarily mean that they were inducted when they were playing.
They can't be inducted when they were playing.
No.
can't-
When they were
they-
playing
they-
for the Florida Panthers, like they could have gone on to other teams and then made it to.
Well, they would still. It's just players that have played for the Panthers at one time.
This was
That's the
2.
Okay, so Techtic has forced the tiebreaker.
As I do every
Nerdbomber, you
fucking
were
week.
closer. You were closer, but it was 7. 7 former players. Also 2 builders of the sport, but they're not players. 7 players. I'm not going to name them. You can look them up if you're particularly inclined, but that forces the text-in tiebreaker. And for the text-in tiebreaker, I had to go to the current roster. How old is team captain Alexander Barkov? Okay, I have Nerdbomber's answer. I have Techtic's answer. Oh, Techtic.
She watches.
It's the same song every week, just in a different key. He is 28 years old. Nerdbomber almost nailed it. She guessed 27. Techtic guessed 35.
Okay, you watched the Stanley Cup final with me.
Yeah,
Did that man?
How old is he?
Did that man?
I remember him having gray hair.
Barkov.
Yeah, isn't that the goalie?
No,
Well,
he's
there we
their
go.
captain. He is a
That is not
forward.
Who's the goalie?
Well, and you know what's hilarious? The goalie, Sergei Bobrovsky. Guess how old he is?
35.
He is literally 35. That's hysterical. Oh man, that's
Because I looked up the goalie's age.
Thank you.
Because he looked older.
Well, he was 35, so you had a good memory in that sense. Nerdbomber moves to 10-5. Techtic 5-13. And Techtic, not that I've had particularly good advice in the past for how to up your quiz game, but right now I have none. I just don't know. Like you said, you're tying every time, you're forcing the tiebreaker, and then you just kind of run out of gas in a way that's very, very hard to watch on a repeated basis. So I don't know, keep it up. You'll get there. We'll be back next week to have another quiz. Nerdbomber will host the Illeagle v Techtic showdown. In the meantime, thank you guys all for joining us. Again, hope you have a safe, happy, and healthy 4th of July week and extended weekend, if that's your prerogative. You can head over to Apple Podcasts or Spotify, leave us a review there, let us know what you think of the show. Hit us up on Twitter at the handles mentioned previously in the episode. And otherwise, just keep doing you. You're doing great. Hang in there, etc. Stay safe and keep on podcasting.